Nice.
Huh? See, I squeezed that in there. Marker. So
We need that for sync, in case you don't know. That's how we sync everything up.
You got a spark point that all the cameras and everything you can just line up and then edit. Tricks of the trade, so to speak. For those of you that don't know, the cool cat sitting at the end of the table over here is our friend and often referenced on very numerous podcast videos of ours. Our mate Dev, or Dev the Collector, Dev the Cartoonist, as he's known on the various
We'll put his links up.
We will, actually. And we were quite fortunate that Dev just happened to come in and spend more of his hard-earned money in the comic store and while we were here doing some interviews. So
yeah, and he felt bad for us. He thought he'd come educate us
so
on
Dev,
how to
say
do
hi.
a real comic podcast.
So yeah, I think like we were lucky enough to ask Jeff some questions. We'll probably do the same with Dev. But first, and most crucially... Got to have that intro, son.
Yeah, I didn't know we were doing the intro, but
We forgot on the last video, but it's fine. I'll just put the intro at the beginning and I'll tweak it from there somehow. I don't know. So Dev, thanks buddy. Thanks for joining us. What did you pick up today?
Nothing much. One Wonder Woman comic.
Can you sit closer to the mic?
Oh, sorry.
There we go.
One Wonder Woman comic.
Just one Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the first week of January is all that we get in this week.
Oh really? I take it it's delays through shipping and holding and all that cuck.
Yeah. And then during Future State, my list is quite short.
What's your take? What's your feeling on Future State?
Convergence Take 2.
Okay. And the fact that they're revamping new Wonder Woman's, new Batsies, new everybody's.
That's fine with me, really.
Okay.
It doesn't bother me.
I'm sure you somewhere in the back of your mind you're going, eventually the originals are coming back.
Not even. For me, comic books is it's a serial medium.
Yeah.
We're going for 80 years. Every decade, Batman's going to be different. Some decades more radical than others. Sometimes you have 70s to 80s or 80s to 90s. It's different. Batman is different. And he's going to constantly change. Just because we've had Bruce Wayne for 80 years doesn't mean we have to have him for the next 20.
yeah.
Fair
Doesn't
point.
mean we won't ever have him again. Doesn't mean that this one won't catch on and be the main guy.
Yeah.
There's certain heritage characters that have better bigger followings than the original guys. There's more
Good,
Wally
yeah.
West fans than Barry Allen fans. And that's
True.
just a fact.
Yeah, no, fair point. 100%. I think that was also like generationally when there was that little boom and Wally just happened
Yeah.
to be the Flash at the time.
Well, the 90s was all about the second generation. Some
Yeah.
of them stuck, some of them not so much.
Good point. Valid point. Okay. Well, let's see what happens there and what direction Future State takes us into. I think I know bits and pieces of this, but obviously for Mark and the other viewers and stuff, you started collecting young, if I remember correctly. You told me you were like a little kid.
Yeah, well, I got into comic books since I can remember. There've been Archie Comics, Man Magazine, etc. So I started reading the Archie Comics when I could read.
Okay.
And then it was only around the age of 8, 9, 10 when I got into superheroes.
Right.
And around primary school, that became all I was into the whole way through high school. I only got back into the Archie stuff after I started working at the shop. Having to
Right.
see them all the time, then it's like, okay, now I need to get these again. Now that's the primary thing I collect.
Yeah. Okay, well, I often regale folks, or at least on the channel, that you and I did work at the comic shop for a brief stint together, and I used to give Devon shit constantly in there for his collecting taste, or his diverse collecting taste anyway. But I got to say, I'll be the first one to put my hand up and say that comic knowledge, stuff that I know now, Dev's forgotten and kind of remembering again when it comes up. So mad props to him.
Yeah, I
on
actually
that.
want to mention, it's like, I don't even know if Dev will remember this, but when I was getting into the game, like, I was spoiled, man. I'd come to Cosmic and everything would be boarded and bagged. And I assumed that that's how comics arrived when I was still getting into it. So I put a comic up for sale and I was like, never been opened, and Dev comes in, he attacks me. He's like, how can it have never been opened? It arrived non-bagged. And I was like, what is up with this guy? What did I do?
And I'm probably just the 8th or 9th guy to do that.
Yeah,
You were just the
exactly.
one that's, okay, no, it's over now.
Let me just set
But
the
it
record.
was a very popular thing at that time when the local Facebook market was booming. Everyone was talking about Seal never been opened and all this stuff.
And it's just a fallacy.
And
They
then
don't
it's funny,
understand.
and I was really lucky, man, because I went to a film festival and I went to Seattle, and then you go to the US comic stores and none of them are bagged and board. They're like all just on the shelf, the racks, and I was like, oh, okay, what is wrong with these people? But little did I know that's totally the norm. You know, we're actually
Yeah.
very spoiled here.
Yeah, 100%. And I mean, we remember as kids, the spinner racks or shit wasn't bagged in any way.
Even when in high school, I used to buy Catwoman and Legion at the comic shop.
Yeah.
And then I would buy all 4 Supermans at the CNA because it was 15 Rand at ZB's and it was 8 Rand 50. So I
Right.
could budget for all 4 Supermans, but I couldn't budget for them to get them from the comic shop. So I'd get 2 comic books with bag and a board, and the other one would be loose with stickers on. But
Nice.
it was like, these are the important ones that I can't miss. And then, so we used to work it. I worked the CNA thing until they stopped selling. Well, they still sell comic books now, but they're ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At some point
sadly.
they just overtook the imported prices.
Oh, really, huh?
They're like 80 or 90, they're almost over 100 Rand. Like if you have a basic Avengers or something lying in the shop.
That's sad, man. Scary, too, actually. Jeez. Okay. Next thing I wanted to just pick your brain on. Talk us through... Maybe it's a bit of an open-ended one for you, but favorite characters maybe you have from different stables?
Yeah.
Because I know on DC side, I think I've got a good handling.
I got these things I follow. I mean, Catwoman would probably be my favorite DC property as it stands. But then Legion of Superheroes is like, and there's so many of them.
Yeah. So
then
you
if
can't
you
just
go-
pick one. If you had to pick one Legionnaire?
No, you can't do
Okay.
What's a Legionnaire if there's no Legion?
Fair enough. Good point.
Like you're a part of a whole, or there's no. That's just not how it works.
Okay.
There's no iron team.
No fair.
The Legionnaires, I do have particular fondness for certain ones.
Okay.
Like I like Light Lass, and I like Triplicate Girl and Karate Kid.
Right.
But they the characters. I mean, Legion is one of those things. I think maybe that's why I have no worries with DC changing, because Legion they would do that. They would literally change them all,
Yeah.
change their names, make it a completely different continuity, and we would just have to accept it. And for 10 years it would be like that. And then for the next 5 years it would be something else. And then say, oh no, now we're going to go. They only went back once after Crisis and redid it.
True.
So you
Yeah.
get used to having to accept that this is what it is now.
Yeah. Fair point. Good comment. On the Marvel side of things?
I always liked Fantastic Four,
Yes.
but I recently quit that.
You recently quit it?
I stopped buying Fantastic Four with Dan Slott.
Really?
Dude, 15 issues and nothing happened. The only good thing was the Thing wedding.
Okay.
That was kind of cool. But
And you kind of liked Slott's take on Spider-Man.
Spider-Man run is great. I think
Wow.
he's too scared with Fantastic Four.
Oh, really?
It's like he doesn't want to mess it up too much.
That's interesting and sad for you because you were a life of Fantastic Four, man. I know.
Yeah, I've been buying it from about 98
Sheesh.
until this year. So
Excluding all the other back issues that you found over time, too.
yeah, well, I got essentials for the large chunk of the beginning.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Fantastic Four there. Anything else besides the FF?
Fantastic Four, and then I did follow. I do like Spider-Woman, so I followed a lot of Spider-Woman stuff, and then anything that spins off that, Spider-Gwen, Silk, and all that. But I mean, Spider-Gwen's over now again.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're doing a Silk miniseries, but I don't think I'm gonna get it.
Okay. And didn't you mind Silk's
Yeah, I
Cindy
enjoyed
moves?
it. I enjoyed that stuff.
Okay.
That was very good.
Nice. Okay. Outside of the big two, if you had to look at imagey stories, or I'll even pick your brain on the manga side of things, because you're quite a big manga lover.
No, manga's what I predominantly read now. A lot of the stuff's a bit more dodgy. Manga, you can get some not so
Let's call them interesting.
interesting storylines. Yeah. But
Because
I've been reading-
Sailor Moon was one of your all-time favorites. I
Yeah,
know
but
that.
Sailor Moon is Sailor Moon. I mean, it's you either love it or hate it. It's not going to be it's a perennial thing. But I understand that you guys are not going to enjoy Sailor Moon if you read it. I will say, however, if you watch the anime, the original 90s anime,
Okay.
you will laugh your ass off. It will-
Okay.
It is a very good anime. Very different to the manga, though.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, it's like
Same creator or
well, they sold it on very early. Basically, she did a thing called Sailor V,
right?
which was one of those girls.
Okay.
And then they said, no, we want to make an anime. And she said, no. If you want to make an anime, give me 6 months. I'll make another comic. I'll make an anime of that comic. So then she made Sailor Moon, which was with all the girls.
Ah,
So it was kind of running at the same time that the manga anime was running.
Got
So
you.
The first 5 chapters
Hmm.
Halfway through the first volume, there's 46 episodes of the TV show.
Oh, geez. Okay. Wow. Oh, headphone accident there. Correct that. That's interesting. Okay. And sort of aside from that,
My favorite at the moment, the big guy I'm big is a guy named Inio Asano.
Okay.
Inio
yeah.
Asano.
Yeah.
And he's like kind of he started out making like these little romance like shonen type things,
Mm.
but he's got a very these comic books are hard to they're always very like kind of I don't know how to explain it, but it's like if Fantagraphics had good stories. You know, like those Fantagraphics like comic book about the cartoonist guy that said because his girlfriend doesn't like him.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like Noah Van Sciver and
Yeah.
all those guys. And there's tons and tons of people making autobiographical type stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
His has that feel, but with a hook or a clever story at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice. That's
quite
interesting. Okay. Good to know. There we go. All-time favorite writer. I know this is going to test you, but I have a suspicion. Writer. My gut's telling me something Grant Morrison potentially for you, but maybe it's
But the thing
It's
is, you know,
changed.
it's hard to say because, you know, if you're a cartoonist, you're as much a writer as. So I kind of put a guy that does it both almost ahead.
okay.
So if I'm going to say, like Adam Warren, for instance, I'm not going to buy everything. If he wrote it, I'm going to buy it because I know it's going to be good. But if
Yeah.
he draws it, it's going to be excellent.
Got you.
Yeah, I actually wanted to. I don't know if we were going there, but like for those who don't know, Dev does his own comics. So
Yeah.
I did think you would lean towards more of a cartoonist, someone who does both.
Yeah, I find it for me. It's interesting to see how the guys meld it together.
Mm.
It doesn't happen very often in modern comics anymore. But I mean, when we were younger, there was a lot of times. Like
Yeah.
Walter Simpson would do both, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of guys doing both that were a writer, a good writer, not
Yeah.
like in the 90s when every image artist was a writer and they're making a comic book that was supposedly well written.
Good
and it's just
point.
a big splash page of something beating something
Yeah.
else up.
A lot of that image stuff was artists who are trying to be writers. I think that was the biggest
Exactly. Not a
shortcome.
guy that was a full-on cartoonist.
100%. So on that note, yeah, you're right. He is known as Dev, the cartoonist as well. One of his books that he's created is only the characters, Ninja Girl. Let's hold that up for our fans over here. Dev, you can do the honors, and Mark will GoPro it for us too, so we can get some shots there. There you go. And I'll even page in for those.
So it's an all-ages comic book, suitable for anyone, really.
And the way you're writing each issue, it's almost like everyone is self-contained in their own right.
It'll always be. They don't come out regularly enough that I can make people wait for a cliffhanger. You know, so it's like I feel like I want it to be that if you get any issue at any point, you can read it. It doesn't matter what number, whatever. And the story, there is a bigger story. There is things that connect it together and everything.
Yeah.
So over time, it'll be something. But there's no need to not have each issue
Got you.
self-contained. As it stands.
And for those folks over there, what you're seeing here is Dev has penciled it, or he's done like the layouts. Then he goes in, he inks everything. He does all the lettering, the script. Everything is done by you,
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
That is awesome. That's very cool. When did you start cartooning, drawing?
Well, obviously I did art and stuff in school, but it was never a major thing. But in university, I had to do some sort of assignment on something, and I found a bunch of comic book reference books at the library when I was doing research for something else. And I read a whole bunch of books they would talk about different types of, there was a thing about Arcrum, and there was a whole bunch of things about that,
Nice.
and about the EC comics and all that other stuff.
Excellent.
And when you look at the diversity, I mean, I've been reading comic books my whole life, but you see what you see.
Mm.
And it's not now. I mean, I'm talking now, 2002. Even at that point, the internet was there, but you had to know what to search for. You didn't have
Sure.
a feed that fed you stuff or
No algorithms bringing you
tracking you.
Even forums and stuff like that weren't
Yeah.
as heavily active as they were maybe 5 years later. So
Got you.
you
Okay.
were kind of forced to only know the stuff you saw.
Yeah.
So then
for
you
sure.
see, okay, anyone can kind of do this.
True.
And then I reread the first Turtles comic again. And I was like, these guys made this one page at a time. So like, I can do that. I can do one page at a time.
Yeah.
So then I did one page at a time. And when it got to 8 pages, I worked out that I could publish it. So I printed them up at the photocopier at the library.
Wow.
And then I've done, this is the 12th ones I've done.
Yeah.
I think 10 and 9 never actually been put out.
But you're still finishing them,
They're
yeah?
kind of made,
Okay.
yeah. But I kind of rebooted it with 11.
Yes.
That was a while ago.
Almost
And
like
I'm
a...
back into it again. Made 12 the year before last. 13's almost done.
Nice. Okay. So back in the swing of things again.
Yeah, well, 2020 I think hit everyone a bit.
Yeah,
All
for
of it.
sure.
And for those that don't know, Ninja Girls is about 3 main characters, 3 girls. Not necessarily ninjas. In their universe and their world, as you explained it to me, ninja is almost like cool, wicked. It's like...
The ninja is just because I like the Turtles comic. So I wrote Ninja, but then I realized I'm not going to draw fight scenes. Very on, I was like, I can't draw fight scenes. So I just tried my best to work around it. They find more, how do you say,
different
peaceful
ways.
to
Resolve.
it's more like little science fiction things.
Yeah.
Than it is
Yeah,
kind of Squirrel Girl
there's
style,
lots of
you know?
aliens, there's lots of robots in there. You
Yeah,
like
there's
your robots.
There'll be aliens. There's girls in cute outfits. It's kind of just
Well, the thing that
Good time.
resonate, or the thing that pops into my mind, if someone had to ask me, I'd say it's almost like a unique version of the Powerpuff Girls, because there's a leader, there's almost like the cute, happy-go-lucky one, and then there's the scrappy fighter
yeah. You got to
character.
have the archetypes. And there's
Correct.
certain things that it's the thing I got from manga. There's a whole line of manga. I read a thing called Cromarty High, and in Cromarty High, it's about a guy that goes to the baddest high school in Tokyo because his friend was going to go there.
Okay.
And it's a 4-page joke manga. And it's just ridiculous. The joke of the first one was he has to go to the shit school to help his buddy.
Right.
And then his friend didn't get into the school.
But
So-
he's there now,
yeah,
stuck.
so he's there.
Okay.
But then they'll repeat the same joke. You know, like they have like 4 issues where he has to change his hairstyle to be badass.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like at the end of the 4th one, it's like, yeah, but you should do this before you go to the school.
Okay.
Stuff like that.
Got you.
So
yeah.
what is interesting is how they would use the same joke and keep it and use the same references. Certain characters, they always say 1 of 4 things. But every time they say it, the way they say it and the situation they say it, and it's always hilarious, it's always funny.
Got
So
you.
I kind of like the idea of you've got these set pieces that you have to try and fit into every
Yeah.
small little increment
Got you.
and make
the
it
tropes
interesting.
that make it
and
what
make
it
it
is.
interesting. Yeah.
Got you. Okay.
Luc Besson did it with the taxi movies, the French taxi movies.
Mm-hmm.
There's the same jokes in every movie. Exactly the same jokes. He has to just upstep that the severity of the joke or hit you with a surprise at the time. But it's the same jokes over and over and over again. The stereotypes actually make it almost. Also, I mean, when you're working with 8 pages, you gotta work that stereotype thing quite hard. Otherwise,
Yeah.
people won't like the characters.
And I imagine for you that's where the love and the joy, the challenge comes in constructing it.
Yeah, like everyone says, why don't you make it longer? If you make it longer, it becomes too easy.
Got
The
you.
restriction is part of it. Like
Yeah.
8 pages is a small enough amount, but
Yeah.
maybe you don't feel like enough of a chunk of story maybe now, but get to a point and it will feel like, I mean, how many decades did Will Eisner make 7-page comic books that are full stories?
100%.
He did 1 page a day in the newspaper, and it's
Yeah.
a full story every week.
100%.
Yeah.
And I've often said to Mark and on the channel, the huge respect I have for just that skill, that art in telling a full self-contained beginning, middle, and end
In
story.
one comic, yeah.
In one comic, in so many pages, in one panel, whatever the
But
case
that's
might
also
be.
like Archie, 6
Yeah.
page, 5 page. They have 5-page stories. An Archie guy must make 5 or 6 5-page stories a month. It's got to have jokes. You got to get in late, leave early type thing, and just get the moment you need with enough context to make that scene work.
Yeah.
And I think it is primarily why comic books suffer so hard trying to get new people into them. You need
Sure.
more done in one issues. You need people to not feel like it's
Alienated if
yes,
they pick this thing up.
And what I've picked up is now DC going the anthology route,
Yeah.
which for me is actually the way they should have gone a while ago.
Mm.
Like it's the manga way, where 20 books are published by Shonen weekly.
Yeah.
So the 4 worst books are still getting the circulation of the best book.
Mm.
Even if no one everyone's reading it, they're giving it a chance.
Sure.
So now when you have a Catwoman comic book, it's Catwoman. I like it. But then if you have Catwoman in the back of the Batman comic book,
Yeah.
every Batman guy is buying Catwoman. The amount of people that are going to like that character or enjoy that storyline or
Or just
shine
be
is-
exposed to it.
is going to be much higher.
Yeah.
You see, so then they can say, okay, we publish 3 Batman books a month, or we publish 3 Superman books a month, but they all have a backup in.
Yeah.
And the backup will be a Supergirl story. So now for a guy like me that likes the B characters, I'm worst off because I have to buy 2 issues of Dark Detective
Yeah.
for the Catwoman backup.
Yeah.
But I don't need to buy the other 2. So the first main story is not going to make any sense to me. I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to read the 2 stories.
And it's interesting. We were just talking about this with Jeff before. You know, with like new readers to pull them in, they might go like, "Well, I'm never going to get issue 1, so how am I going to?" And it's just so intimidating for them to not know that they can pick up any issue and it's got a whole story in it that they can read.
100%.
Yeah, but that's because of 20 years of being burned. Because
Yeah.
we've had comic books that in the 2000s when Authority became big and Warren Ellis became the thing. And
Yeah.
the guys, decompressed storytelling became the thing.
Yeah.
And it became so difficult. Even in the 90s, I reread now Legion from 94 and I'm in 2002 now. And every story is a part of a 200 issue story. But at the same time, each issue is a chunk of material. You know, it feels like a sustainable
I hear you. And
piece of and
the one thing I can comment on there was you got me to read that the Legion Lost run by Abnett and Lanning. And I got to say that for someone who knows nothing about the Legion, someone who's never read anything, I knew the 3 archetype main characters. If it's written well by good writers, they set the scene for you, even though it was a part of a long history and a long future to come. I loved those stories, and I bought the 2 that interconnected, but I could have read either one self-contained, and still they hooked me in the beginning, and the ending for me was like, wow. Like,
the ending of Legion Lost, I reread that. That's the run I'm busy reading.
Yeah.
So I read from the beginning of that continuity. In 1994, the Legion got rebooted after 0 Hour. The Time Trapper destroyed time. From the end of time.
Right.
And he destroyed up till 25th century or something. So the Legion got rebooted from scratch. So from 94, and what's so interesting is how much of that run informed the Abnett Lanning run.
Okay.
It's like, it's so insane. Like the Element Lad thing, he lost his planet early on.
Okay.
He'd been a bit kooky the whole time.
Wow.
And then
and they just picked up on that. And
there was a piece in the 20th century where Saturn Girl reanimated Comatose Cosmic Boy.
Oh, really?
For like 10 issues until like their liaison lady realized when Saturn Girl walks away, he just goes like this. He just stands there with his eyes blank, and she realized he's still in the coma.
Wow.
And she's been animating him. So all the little things that they pulled out of there actually were stuff that came.
Okay, that's
but then
interesting.
they did pull your heartstrings by making Monstrous a real character, and then just.
Dude, that hit me right in the feels, man. That was harsh.
But the ending, if anyone has never read Legion Lost, I will highly recommend.
Yeah.
That is one of the best science fiction stories I've ever read.
And I agree with you. The characters and all that is inconsequential.
Yeah,
the story.
The story is just.
It's on point. It's
really, really clever.
Yeah.
It's so clever.
It's well done. I'll lend it to you one day if you ever want.
I was actually going to say, can you lend?
No, definitely.
I don't have funds to buy anything right now.
and I had to ask Cosmic to special get it for me. It's not like it was regularly on the stand. They brought it in.
I think I saw.
Do they have some?
Normally, when someone special orders something, they get it.
Yeah, and they're like, okay, let's get 2 or 3 more.
Or maybe I started something. And I really encourage anyone out there who's watching us who does come to Cosmic, look on the shelves and get it. Man, that's a good read. Yeah, I would like if they did that in like a deluxe collected.
I've got a deluxe hardcover of Legion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, it's normal size.
Yeah.
But it's a hardcover.
And it's both in one.
No, it doesn't have Legion of the Damned. It's just the 12-part Legion Lost story.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
Legion
enough.
of the Damned was a nice little bridge over.
Yeah.
But it isn't necessary to
No.
make Legion Lost works.
Agreed.
It's nice that they celebrated that as its own thing.
100%. Nice. You need to get that, son.
So, if you liked what Mark and I were talking about here, or just like our content in general,
Please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more videos.
and do us a favor and find us on the social media platforms like Facebook and Instagram.
See you in the next video.